We also have Shri Alok Agarwal, the Member Secretary of NALSA, and we have Shri Sanjeev Jain, the Member Secretary of the Delhi State Legal Services Authority. Now we saw from the last session that there were so many questions and the speakers were unable to actually get time to respond. So what we've done now is that possibly it will be like this. Shri Alok Agarwal and Shri Sanjeev Jain will take roughly 15 minutes each, and they will quickly outline to you the relevant features of the legal aid schemes in the country. Shri Sanjeev Jain, of course, will speak to you of the Delhi legal aid scheme, which is probably, with some changes here and there, probably one of the most advanced in the country. And it is suggested that the Delhi legal aid scheme, if it is tweaked, if it is improved with certain suggestions as made by those who speak and ask questions hereafter, maybe we'll have a model scheme for the whole country. And Justice Mittal will then summarize, he'll also make his own suggestions, he'll also moderate the session. So we'll try and keep at the end of the session, if all the three main speakers are 15 minutes each, we'll try and keep the session open for as much question and answers as possible. So thank you very much. And
please, good morning to all present here. In this session is pertaining to present legal aid schemes. In fact, a person who is in custody is entitled to free legal aid from under the provisions of Section 12 of the Legal Services Authority Act 1987. A prisoner, whether he is a pre-trial stage, under trial, or a convict, he is normally entitled to get services like of a remand advocate, because what happens is sometimes in courts they are unable to have legal assistance. So, like Haryana State Legal Services Authority, we have our remand advocates who ensure that as and when any case of like at the pre-trial stage or is under trial or a convict is produced in the court, and at the stage of remand, a person is entitled for services of a remand advocate who is under the services of Haryana State Legal Services Authority. They have all the responsibilities to ensure that the representation is provided to them, and the lawyers who are engaged by the Haryana State Legal Services Authority are very competent and highly professional, so that it's not felt by the under trial or the accused that he is not being given a proper assistance by legal assistance for having presentation in the court. Secondly, what happens is that the unrepresented under trial prisoners are required to be effectively represented. They need to be updated regularly about the status of their cases. Like in Haryana, what we have done is, like, we have started with model jails in Karnal, and there are two jails which have been in Gurgaon, where we have this web portal. Whatever happens in the court of law is put on the web portal, and he or she, whosoever is the accused or the convicted, etc., will know what is the status of the case, and the family would also know about the status of the case, what is happening. Otherwise, earlier it used to be no one would know what exactly is happening. So, the facilities or the legal aid schemes in prisons assumes great importance. And what happens is, once the data is available on the net, then so far as some ancillary facilities or ancillary rights which accrue to the family of the accused, convict, or at the pre-trial stage is also provided to them. I'll just give an example. Like in Haryana, what happens is a child of any of these pre-trial stage or at the accused or after the conviction also is entitled for having like 2,000 rupees per month as assistance. So whenever the data is available on the net, in the on the jail portal, web portal, so the rights which accrue to them are also provided to them. So that's one of the better things. Like another thing is timely filing of the appeals also. What happens is, if a person is convicted by the trial court. Appeal is to be filed to the sessions court. Or so what happens is, or when the trial court is the session court, it has to be filed in the high court. So the timely appeals are also filed. Earlier they never used to know what exactly is happening with regard to the filing of the appeals. The data is available on the net. The trial court record is transmitted to the high court as or the Supreme Court after the decision of the high court also. So all these facilities, all these various schemes, so far as Haryana is concerned, is being adopted and being followed. Probably must be in other jails also. There are about 1382. When NASA has introduced all these, they have made it mandatory that this should be followed in all the prisons. So there are about 1382 prisons in the country where all these are being followed. I understand. Of course, Mr. Alok Agrawal, Member Secretary and NASA would address on that aspect. As far as Delhi is concerned, Mr. Sanjeev Jain would make his presentation to you. Then, others is like so that there is access to justice. All are no one can say that he does not get legal assistance and proper assistance. Like we have legal assistance establishments also made available on which through video conferencing in the head office of the authorities we can have interaction with the convicts, accused, etc. So, of course, at this stage, after Mr. Alok Agrawal and Mr. Sanjeev can have address, then we'll have interactive section also. So, I'll give it to Mr. Alok Agrawal to make his speech.
I am very happy to be a part of this 3 days program. That too on a very important topic of business rights. I was told that many of the lawyers as participants are on our legal services panels. May I know how many? How many are from legal services panels? Quite a few. So I thank the organizers, HRLN, the Jindal Global Law School and the other organizers for organizing this training program and including our panel lawyers in this. And I would request you all to participate vigorously in this program. We have, apart from this session, other sessions also, we have got very eminent resource persons here, as you see from the schedule. We have eminent law professors and the NGOs, activists who have been working day in and day out for upliftment of human rights and the rights of the prisoners. Now, to begin at the beginning, let's all ask ourselves and answer one question to ourselves. What is common between, say, a judicial officer or a high-ranking IAS officer, an accountant, a peon, a person who has some mental disorder, and a person whose movement is confined and who is in prison? What is common to all of them? Anybody? They are all human beings, and this is the basis of all the discussions that will happen in all these 3 days. So, once we say they are all human beings, we all know, we are all lawyers here. We all know the Universal Declaration, UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or constitutions, fundamental rights, and all other rights. They have all recognized that there are some basic human rights which cannot be compromised, cannot be alienated, except to the extent they are absolutely necessary as per the situation the person is in. Am I right? There's no doubts on this? Okay. The preamble of the Constitution promises to uphold the individual's dignity in whatever circumstances he is, the dignity that is inherent to him as a human being. Right? Similarly, all the discourse on the human rights have focused on this. You may be incarcerated. If I am suppose I have committed an offense, I have been sentenced for 3 years. Okay, that is the punishment provided by law. For 3 years, my movements will be restricted. To some extent, to to the extent it is necessary, my freedom of speech, my freedom of expression may be restricted. I cannot move out in the society, but you can't touch me beyond that. That's about all. I am in a prison. I am still entitled to a reasonable accommodation, food, clothing, water. I am still entitled to the same dignity as a human being while I am in prison. I am entitled to all those fundamental rights, the human rights, the socio-economic and cultural rights that are recognized for me by various UN declarations. And that is where the legal services authorities come in. Whenever there is a violation or a chance of violation of rights, legal services authorities always have a role to play. I am here in this session to talk about the role of the legal services institution. We don't have a particular scheme as such, saying from one step to the last what is to be done for the prisoners. But there are various provisions and various other schemes of NALSA and other legal services institutions. Somehow, just because the legal services institutions at the office level are manned by judges and judicial officers, some of the expectations of the society from the judiciary and the legal services institutions have got a bit mixed up. The rights of any person who is accused in a criminal trial, a right to have a counsel is very well recognized. It's Article 22(1). Article 22(1), and then we have in CRPC section 304, and then in Ajmal Kasab's judgment, where it was laid down vociferously by the Supreme Court that it is a trial court's duty to see that nobody, absolutely nobody, goes undefended in a criminal case. I hope and believe that this is being followed everywhere. Whatever criticism or judgment that we see sometimes come up before the Supreme Court about legal aid not being provided to somebody, in recent years at least, we all must have noticed that they say that, like in the Parliament case, Parliament attack case judgment, effective legal aid was not provided. Yes, that could be a shortcoming still. But legal aid not being provided, I personally think, will not be the case almost anywhere in any of the criminal cases. So, coming to other functions, Section 12, as my Lord Justice Nicola said, of the Legal Services Authorities Act, mandates that all the persons who are in custody, any kind of custody, whether it's jail, whether it's observation homes or any other institutions, there somebody's movements can be confined. All of them are entitled to free legal aid. So that is a mandate of legislation. That is a mandate of the Constitution also. The discourse about the rights of prisoners, we have the A.N. Mullah, we have all heard this, so I will not go into details. The A.N. Mullah Committee report of 1980-83, they recognized certain rights. Then there was a UN declaration of basic principles of treatment of prisoners, where they enunciated 11 principles. On the basis of these two, the government came out with model prison manuals in 2003, and now we have a model prison manual of 2016. They talk of various rights, but I will concentrate on the rights which are directly connected with the legal services or with the judiciary. The Model Prisons Manual 2016 specifically recognizes the right of a prisoner to be defended by a lawyer. Next is right to access to the legal services institutions. right to access to information of legal provisions regulating the detention, right to receive all case documents and information about these pending cases, right to be informed about the right to appeal, right to effective presentation of complaints and grievances during his confinement. That means complaints and grievances to the prison authorities, right against arbitrary prison punishments, and right to release on the due date. So these rights have been specifically given under the Model Business Manual 2016. These are the rights that we are in the process of addressing. Generally talked about, the last session we had about the prison conditions. I'm sure everybody now agrees that we have come a long way from those days of Sunil Batra, Sanara Khamun and all that torture was talked about much. Now I went to Jindal jail. I was staying in a circuit house, which is not too far from the jail, and in the morning 5:30, there was an announcement which could be overheard at the circuit house. Sab bandi bhaiyon ko namaskar, and very courteously informing them of the day's schedule and asking them to come out for their morning shows. So things have changed, things are changing. But at places where NALSA got conducted some kind of an empirical research, that was 5 years back, in fact, where we found that in many of the places, because of overcrowding, because of lack of space, it's not that physical torture and all, probably either it was not there or we didn't come across. But this issue is certainly there, the lack of proper space, lack of proper facilities, and there were places where, for bathing, for men it was open area, and for women it was 4 feet or 5 feet walled enclosures without a roof. This, I would say, certainly went against the dignity of individual dignity of persons. So things have to be improved on those counts: overcrowding, lack of basic facilities, then but other issues with which we are concerned are lack of information about the cases, lack of awareness of their rights, especially as I first said, right to appeal, right to legal aid, right to communicate with their lawyer, and right to be produced in the court on the due dates. These are some of the issues, and to address these issues, what the legal services institutions have done is that apart from trying to give free legal aid to all the under trial prisoners and convicts, I mean, the purpose is that, but how to attain that? We have legal services clinics in almost all the jails, and today we have 1157 legal services clinics inside the jails all over the country. Out of these 1157, 369 have been recently provided with computers and some other hardware. Of course, all the information getting there will take a little time with connectivity and the problems of the software problems that they have. But the idea is that all the information about all the cases, as my lord said, in Haryana, it's already available in at least in 2 districts. Delhi also it is available, and it is a step towards getting every detail of a case against a person who is a prisoner at the clinic on one computer, so that anybody can be told immediately about that, about his information, because they are not getting information. That is one. One issue that we are struggling with. Next, for overcrowding, I don't have time for going into detail of that, but I will certainly say, since my lord is there and we are activists and intellectuals there, that this is wrongly, this burden is wrongly placed on the judiciary case. Anyway, what we are doing here is that there is under the Supreme Court judgment, there is what they call under trial review committees have been formed in all the districts. The district judge heads the committee, the district magistrate, the superintendent of police, and now with the orders of the court, the jail superintendents and DLSA secretary are members. It is the DLSA secretary, the basic responsibility is given to the legal services, district legal services authority. It is the DLSA secretary who identifies the cases who are eligible for release under section 436A. Those who have already undergone half of the maximum punishment. But it's not only 436A, the Honorable Supreme Court has expanded the category. That there are some 12 categories now. All under 436A, then second is who have completed half of the minimum sentence awardable under that for that offence. All compoundable cases, all cases of women all cases of people who are sick, and so on. So there are some 12 categories, out of which the cases are identified by the district secretary, put up before the committee goes through them, makes the recommendations for the trial court. What was happening is that all this final reporting out of this was going totally haywire. I mean, you can't tracking each and every person right from this identification stage up to whether he is released or not was not being possible. So, on the asking of the Supreme Court, NALSA has now placed an SOP for the Honorable Supreme Court, which the court has now accepted and which will be circulated to all legal services institutions and the courts and the high courts in the next week. Next week only. One more about the other things rights that we talked about. We are creating awareness about the rights of the prisoners in the jails that has been going on for long. The district legal services authorities, the NGOs and all, we are going into the jails, telling the prisoners about their rights. We have banners, holding camps there, talking to the prisoners. Then recently started a campaign, a 10 days campaign for seeing the condition of the women prisoners. You see, there are 18,858 women in jails today all over the country. In a population of how many? 125 crores. So, okay, overcrowding and all, I get mixed up with these things. Once again, I would like to say that it's not the judiciary burden. So, it's not very huge a number. But whoever is there in the jail has to be treated with dignity. That, of course, has to be maintained. We found, I just want to add this only, that in this campaign of 10 days, in Hisar, sir, your Lordship knows, in Hisar, there was a woman in the jail who had two daughters. One of them was with her because she was less than 6 years old, and she did not know the whereabouts of the other daughter. And when our team of the DLSA secretary, some lawyers and NGOs and some medical staff, they went there. They could trace that daughter in a child care institution and reported back, informed her that the child is sick. See the kind of impact that this kind of interventions make. Another case at Hisar itself, they found that two of the women were so depressed that they were certainly going to, if they had a way, they would have committed suicide. With the counsellors going with this team, they were counselled, that it was brought to the notice of the jail authorities, and they were asked to take care of them. So this is only because all the reports have not come. I don't have stories today from all over the country, but at least these two from Hisar we have got. So these are the things that we at our level are trying to implement to make their lives inside the prison as comfortable as we can. We can't build jails. We can't build more capacity in the jail. That is for somebody else to do. But we are doing our job. Thank you very much. I'll wait for the queries later on because I know that.
Good afternoon. My Lord Justice A.K. Mittal, my friend Shri Alok Agrawal, Member Secretary, National Legal Service Authority, Dr. Murthy, distinguished guests, delegates. Almost everything has been said about the schemes and programs of legal aid by my Lord Justice Mittal and my friend Alok. Being Member Secretary of Delhi State Legal Service Authority, I will confine my talk to some of the informations, programs, and activities of Delhi State Legal Service Authority within jails. Question is, why jails? What is the necessity of jails? Why jail is traditionally and historically used as punishment in response to the crime? Because in every system, liberty is most precious for human existence, and therefore, at first instance, liberty is curtailed by keeping a person in jail. But the second question is, once a person is in jail because of a crime or allegation of crime, does his human rights suspends or it still exists? There cannot be any doubt, it is an established proposition throughout the world, that every prisoner, every inmate has human rights. To my perception, in our jail activities, we focus on four things. First is fair trial. Second is awareness about the legal rights and legal aid schemes within jails. Third is the human rights issues. And fourth is the skill development, because almost every inmate has to come outside and to lead the life of a normal citizen. Within four broader parameters, all the programs and schemes of legal aid works. As far as Delhi is concerned, primarily the structure is that in Delhi there are 16 jails. Every jail is assigned to a legal aid secretary. Not only jails, but observation homes and safety homes are also assigned to legal aid secretaries. They are overall in charge for the activities of a particular jail. Idea is that legal aid secretaries who are judicial officers may visit the jails regularly, at least once in a month. They may talk to lawyers, they may visit the barracks, they may see the administrative issues, they may take the feedback, they may take the corrective steps. In the year 2017, our secretaries visited jails for more than 600 times, and it really works. When every jail is under the administrative control of a DLSA secretaries, then there is a coordination with the jail authorities. For the legal aid, primarily, as my friend Shri Alok Agrawal told, like in entire country, Delhi also has a legal aid clinic in every jail. In legal aid clinic, certain facilities has been given. First facility is that it has an e-kiosk, it has a working library, it has working furniture and infrastructure. And then advocates from DLSs as well as advocates from Delhi High Court Legal Service Committee daily visited 6 days a week they are visiting the legal aid clinics. What is the job of legal aid advocates? I hope some legal aid advocates from Delhi are present who are visiting jail, and they may assist me, they may correct me if I'm factually wrong somewhere. The role of the advocates is to give advice to the inmates if they need advice, to draft their bail applications, to draft their petitions, to coordinate with DLSs relating to their trials or their applications, to coordinate with the advocates and jail authorities. And what is the role of High Court Legal Service Committee is same advice and then drafting appeals, taking instructions and taking matters to logical. In Delhi, as per the mandate of the NALSA, our endeavor is to provide legal aid from first step, that is police station at the time of arrest, to the convictions and appeals. In 2 districts, we have tried, sir, the legal aid on call basis and visiting basis at the level of police station. It is working. This experiment is about 6 months old. Perhaps we are going to replicate this experiment in the second step is that every person arrested will be brought to lockup of the court premises. Then in Delhi, we have created legal aid clinics in all lockups where 10 to 5 our advocates are sitting. They have the infrastructure, laptop, and they are directly connected to concerned DLSs. Idea is that within lockup, first information may be gathered so that none of the convict, none of the inmate, none of the cases out of the radar of DLS. Second, advice only to the persons but to their relatives also. And then they will be sensitized about the availability of legal aids at different levels. This experiment is working for last about 1 year. Then third stage is in the courts, in every criminal court, maybe executive court of SDMs or magisterial courts or sessions court. There is a remand advocate from 10 to 5 in Delhi. And those remand advocates take care at the time of investigation. Once charge sheet is filed and trial starts, it is assigned to a particular advocate. And then next stage is, if somebody is sent to jail, then there are legal aid clinics in jail where 6 days a week advocates from DLSs as well as high courts are available. One problem, and the perennial problem, had been about the informations of cases and case files in jails. In Delhi, Sunilji is here and he had been instrumental in many reforms in Delhi and had been working while he was with jail authorities for years together in implementing our programs, and he knows. With jail authorities in Delhi, there is a program, there is a software PMS which is called Prison Management System. DLS is directly connected with Prison Management System, and Prison Management System has every information about an inmate or a convict pertaining to his previous record, his cases, his next date of hearings, his health issues and other informations, family informations. So those informations may be accessed by legal aid advocates as and when required. But still there were problems in Delhi. So we are in the process now, as per the directions of Honorable High Court of Delhi. A new detailed warrant in manual form as well as in digital form is being prepared and it is in the process of implementation. Idea is that the digital warrant of an inmate may have more information, some details of the case, so that lawyer may not be confused and at initial stage he may get more information to prepare bail applications and other things. Through the PMS, the idea is to connect e-kiosk directly with the websites of district courts so that their digitized charge sheets may be accessed by the lawyers while sitting in jails. Once it is done, it was experimented in one district for some time. It is in process. There were some technical issues. NALSA is also working on this issue. Once it is done, these delays may be curtailed. Then, this is about the legal aid primarily and broadly. There have been some difficulties of dispatch of applications and delaying the applications. In first session also some questions were put. That applications are not put up before the court, so applications do not find mention on court records. Yes, this had been a problem. But with jail authorities in Delhi, we find a solution and we issue directions to all our jail visiting advocates that don't submit any application to jail authorities without mentioning the date. And simultaneously, we requested all jail superintendents, please don't accept any application which does not bear a date. Once our application bear the date, then delay may be explained or the burden of delay may be put to the authorities. And now quarterly we are seeking reports from the jails if there is any delay, and if there is any delay of more than 5-7 days, then we are taking up with the jail authorities. And with the process of time, this issue is improving. Then the aspect of awareness is concerned. For awareness, many steps in Delhi has been taken. Boards has been put in every jail at the entrance. Then detailed information on walls and boards has been given. Detailed information, pamphlets has been prepared, which may be given to the convicts and inmates. We have taken one step in jail for information and assistance. In last 1 year, we have trained about 300 paralegal volunteers who are long-term convicts. Initially, we were apprehensive whether this experiment will work and how far it will be successful. But our experience in Delhi about the long-term convicts who are PLs and who are very educated, some of them, is very good. It is serving in many directions. First is about the awareness. Perception is when first time an inmate is brought before the advocate, he may not be able to even convey his problem or all the facts. And in jails, inmates and convicts may open more in front of each other. So, our paralegal volunteers may mentally prepare them, may make them aware about the legal rights and availability of legal aid structure, and then they brought them to the legal aid clinics, and they also assist our advocates. We just speed up the system. So paralegal volunteers in jail is working in Delhi. That is a development. As far as awareness, apart from these steps, in last 1 year itself, around 350 programs has been conducted in different jails on different subjects relating to health issues, sanitations, legal rights issues, legal aid issues, particularly in women jails, which is jail number 6. We appointed for a time, otherwise there are regular, but for a project we appointed 5-6 advocates so that survey may be conducted in each and every case pertaining to the women. There were many issues. Some issues looks very small, but ultimately this turned out to be a bigger issue. Like we received an information during our visits that some of the women inmates has little kids. with them. As per jail rules, meal is given to them before 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. In winter session, it gets cold. Child is not able to take that meal in the midnight and he leaves. And hue and cry of the child disturb all the inmates. So, with the help of Sunilji and other authorities, we solved this problem. And ultimately, arrangements were made so that this appears to be a very small problem. But sometimes small problems has very simple solutions once you focus on it. Another issue in jail number 6, women jail, were pertaining to the sanitation tax. Right. There was a rule that limited sanitation tax were being provided by the jail authorities. But particular women may need more tax than 2 or 3 allotted tax. And sanitation tax is not a thing which can be misused. So, with jail authorities, this rule was changed. And as per demand and requirement, sanitation pads are now being provided in jail number 6. One problem in women jail in Delhi had been that Delhi, being a capital city, has a specific problem, a special problem. That inmates from different states are there. And some of the inmates from remote areas, they cannot understand Hindi or Punjabi or English language, which are the normal language of Delhi. And our advocates are not able to understand their language, maybe Asmi or Bengali or something. So we try to rope in translators so that their cases may be understood and they will help them. For legal awareness, apart from the programs, we try to organize some programs on Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Because idea is also the skill development, and particularly we selected those persons who are going to be released in next about 3 months or 6 months of a year, so that they may have the maximum benefit of their skill. This program is new, but this program is also working. So, in Delhi, the whole model is to provide legal aid at all the steps, to have regular interactions with the jail inmates, to have regular meetings with the jail authorities, to take feedback from the advocates, and then keeping on improving the system. It is often said that Delhi model is good in legal aid in India, but being member secretary, I may admit here before this gathering that yes, Delhi system may be better in comparison to some of the states, but still it has many gaps. Jail systems and legal aid in jail is still the biggest challenge because it is the core area and it is the biggest problem. I hope that with the feedback in coming time, we will the systems and we will be able to give best of the services. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dear friends, you must have heard panelists also. Our house is to conduct the session. First, we will have reaction from Sri Gupta.
In Delhi, we are having 16 jails, and in these 16 jails are being visited by 35 advocates, which have been allotted by the State Legal Service Authority, and then there are more 15 advocates who have been earmarked by the Delhi High Court Legal Service Committee for taking up the cases of the prisoner before the Honorable Delhi High Court. In every jail, we are having a legal aid cell where we have provided stationery item, computer, etc. And the good part of this is that prisoners are equally participating in the legal aid activities like advocates. Prisoners are doing this typing work where the prison administration and Delhi State Legal Service Authority they are providing stationery and prisoners are typing the applications of the prisoner. Then in jails, we are keeping first-time offender away from the habitual offender. We are ensuring that first-time offender, they don't come into contact with the habitual offender so that they don't turn into a dada when they are released. In the jails, sometimes prisoners are drafting the petitions of the other prisoners. And this is very popular. I still remember when Charles Sobral was there, I was DSP in the jail when Charles Sobral was in the jail. And his petition, his quality of drafting was much appreciated by the prisoners than the drafting of the legal aid advocates. But this is, even though this is in isolation, most of the time when legal aid lawyers, they are doing very hard work, they are coming to the prison. You know, prison is a sort of taboo. No one wants to come to the prison. But the legal aid lawyers, with much, I must say that they are much courageous that they are coming to the jail and giving legal aid to the prisoner. The complaints which we are getting for these legal aid lawyers is that they are inexperienced. At times it is said that they are inexperienced or their quality in drafting is not up to the mark. This is the one complaint. Second complaint is that some lawyers, they are asking for the money. Whenever we are seeing such complaints, we are immediately referring that case to the member secretary, and I am happy to state before you that immediate action is taken and that lawyer is removed from the panel. And third one is that the lawyers are irregular in visit. Whenever someone is irregular in visiting the jail, we are writing to the legal aid and we are getting with a prompt placement. Thank you very much.
Generally said that sometimes legal aid advocates who are visiting jails are inexperienced in drafting. To sort out this problem, recently the State Legal Service Authority has empaneled about 24 senior advocates having practice of more than 10 years. The whole idea is that we may have a separate panel of senior advocates having 10 years practice in sessions court who have more experience, and then at least once in a week for complicated cases, they may visit the jails and they may take up the sessions cases.
My question is to Mr. Agarwal. It's not a question actually, it's more like a suggestion if it is possible. See, in our entire experience of having worked with arbitral prisoners for almost 3 decades now, the question of legal aid is centrally located to the issue of the poor honorarium structure that we have for legal aid lawyers. NALSA has circulated guidelines after which there has been increase in the honorarium. I know in Maharashtra the honorarium has recently been increased from 1200 to 7500 per case. But in my humble opinion, it is not enough. If we really want good lawyers to represent under trials, and my own assessment is that not everybody wants legal aid lawyers. Most people try and get a lawyer of their own choice. They sell their land, they sell their jewelry, but somehow they get a lawyer. So we are left with a smaller number of people who need legal aid. The honorarium should be substantially increased. And if NALSA can draft the guidelines and then follow it up with the state governments and the state legal services authorities, I think that is the only way forward. It should be at least 2,000 rupees per effective hearing, and not as of now it is 700 rupees per effective hearing. Similarly, for the lawyers who are visiting the legal aid clinics, the honorarium should be minimum 1,500 rupees to 2,000 rupees per visit. So if these kind of improvements are made, this problem of legal aid, according to me, is pretty manageable. It can be solved. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the query, and I would certainly agree, everybody would agree with this. So the difficulty here is that, I'll just show you the structure. NALSA and all the other state authorities are all independent. They have their own regulations which they make, and already are fixed by their regulations. This was in fact the first time when these issues were raised that, and sorry, but especially Maharashtra, I don't know why, but especially Maharashtra, the population went up very, very low. Maharashtra, Gujarat, and a couple of other states. Then in one of the meetings of a central authority, we decided that we'll prescribe a minimum, and you cannot pay below that. So that's how the 750 rupees came. It was a committee of senior advocates, Rajiv Ramachandran, and all who went through all the fee structures everywhere. And there also we had said that if, in a state where generally lawyers are earning much less, it is 750 for them. Each state should see their own conditions. It is their regulation. They can fix a higher amount. There is no doubt of financial aid. Also is prepared to give more aid because we are getting more. Like Delhi will tell you it's quite substantial. It's quite much more than that. And we have all the Haryana it's much more. So some of the states have increased it, and some take a little time for that. And Delhi may just ask the people to tell you.
I fully agree with what has been said. But I have a small observation. Delhi is one state perhaps which has the highest fee. Haryana is equally good.
How much is it?
And we have a fee schedule, and for magisterial courts it is different, for sessions court it is different. For senior advocates, which we have empaneled recently, we have 45,000 per case, where it is more than 10 years commission. So it is substantial. For jail visiting advocates, I think it is 1,800 per day. There is no bar for private practice, only the legal practice. But still, yes, it may improve the quality, but it may not be proportionate. Sometimes more lucrative fee structure attracts the person who are only interested in money. So legal aid authorities has to be careful by taking the advocates on panel, because I say that legal aid, apart from livelihood and fee, it is a work of dedication. And if person does not have that concern and dedication, fee may not help. Fee may help up to some extent, but fee is not the only solution. And in Delhi also, we are getting this problem. Now to select 1,000 lawyers, my lord, last year we had 12,000 applications in Delhi. And now advocates are coming just to earn, and if person has tendency just to make money, then there is a tendency to be trapped. So you have to be very careful.
Basically, these lawyers, panel lawyers, they have to be dedicated only. Because if we, as she said, but if you keep it on daily against basis, then it will become very difficult to know how many effective hearings were there or not. And that's taken, that has worked out. For 1,000 panel lawyers, there were 12,000 applications. Actually, when we select all those people who are really dedicated. And it's a stepping for them. So that they are not prohibited from the heavy crime practice also. And it's in addition to that. And they get a start to have cases and interaction and rapid criminal cases also. And once they visit the jail premises, they exactly I have the occasion to interact with so many serial lawyers also. Probably they have dealing with the cases, but they have never seen any jail from inside what happens exactly there. So these panel lawyers, they have so much of experience also, which would help them in later life. They should not be short-sighted that yes, at this stage, they will be getting this much amount or that much amount. It should be for longer duration, and of course medication has to be there.
May I add one something?
Yes.
Just for the consumption of the entire
Member
house.
Secretary, Legal Service Authority.
I'm Member Secretary Haryana State Legal Services Authority. Though, as to your query, Mr. Sanjeev Jain has rightly pointed out that fee may not be the issue at all. But certainly, some reasonable honorarium is required to be paid. Different authorities are paying different amount. But as far as you are concerned that it should be handsome amount, I just want to apprise you that in the Law and Haryana High Court, the senior designated advocates, they have given an undertaking as per the rules that in a year they will conduct 10 cases pro bono. So rather they have come forward with this suggestion that they will not charge. Thank you.
Anybody know?
My question is to anyone may answer the question. Say you've spoken about the overcrowding in the jail. So, is it because of the scarcity of the jails in our country, or due to the staunch punishment given to the people in cases of petty offences or in NDPA cases? So, what do you think? What is the reason?
Should I answer that, Colin? Okay. I'll just give you 2-3 statistics and 2 sets of statistics. One, in India, as per the National Judicial data, we have 2.8 crore total cases pending in the courts and 1.9 crore of criminal cases, right? So I had that data written down somewhere, we'll just see. But anyway, 1.9 crore criminal cases. At any point of time in Delhi, as per the National Prisons Information Portal, you have 4.2 lakh prisoners, convicts and under trials included. So, sir, with 67%, as Mr. Colin said, 67% of them being under trials, which is put against us generally, that why there so many under trials. The number of prisoners in the jail who are under trials comes to around 2.8 lakhs. 2.8 lakhs of 1.9 crores is 1.5%. So, sir, in criminal cases pending in the country, 98.5% people are already on bail. Only 1.5% people are inside, so it is not because of that people are not getting bail or more people are being sent inside. I am in fact worried otherwise, being a judicial officer. Second set of data. In India, the prison population per lakh it is given, is 33. In England, it is 153. In USA, it is 700 or 750 or something, which have much less population than the country. So these countries can build jails, and if we can't build jails for 1/20th of the concentration in US, it is not judiciary's fault. I mean, what I wanted to say was that the reason is that the jail capacities are not being built. They have to be built. The facilities are to be provided in the jails by the concerned departments, and we are of course taking it on ourselves. UTRCs, 436A, legislature, everybody is putting it on us. Okay, that we are doing. But the basic issue is not concerned with us. I am worried otherwise that 98.5% there is nobody's case that India has very less crime as compared to other countries. Alright, anyway.
Ma'am, in fact, the morality should start from the society. There should be less of crime. In fact, it should be in jails. There should be more space available. There should be less people there. Morality should start from the society only. People should not be violating law. It's not that the persons who are in jail are innocent people. Basically, one may say, maybe point some percentage, they may be falsely implicated, we don't know. Yeah, that will be only after trial. But so far as others are concerned, if a person is committed crime, why should that be now? These days, when you find, as Mr. Agarwal has pointed out, so many 2.8 crores and now 138 Negotiable Instrument Act. So many cases are being there. That is basically because of dishonesty. Not that a person is not signed the check. A person who signed the check, why should he be disowning it? The morality has to start from the society only. Why should they do it like this? Like I'll just give an example of Punjab and Haryana. I was once inspecting that for Jindal Kapurthala jail. It was rebuilt and capacity enhanced. You may keep increasing the capacity up to whatever level. If dishonesty starts increasing further, what will the government do or what the system can do? Same way it happened with Faridabad also. New jail was constructed. Again, it's full. What to do? Then this is what the thing would be. Morality has to start with society only.
Myself, I give example from Odisha High Court. Where the NLSA authority is not taking step, when the matter are sent to the legal authority, and on the technical ground that has been rejected. So, example, one is set. Provision is there to send it to the affidavit must be filed by the family members. Example, I am giving an example of its own case. I have sent a criminal opinion, I conducted criminal opinion in Odisha High Court, which has been rejected or it has been confirmed. That's why I have sent it to the legal aid independently and through the legal aid to take this matter through the NLSA. That has been rejected recently on the ground that the affidavit has been shown by the family members, not before the any judicial magistrate. It has been made in the technical ground. It has been rejected. So analysis is not. It is not the duty of the analysis to take all these things. If affidavit has been made, any oath from someone, then is it a ground to be rejected? It is not a violation of prisoner's rights. That is my question. When any notary affidavit has been made and sent it to the legal aid, then it will be rejected by the Supreme Court. That is my question.
What is rejected? Is it a bail application or?
Once the criminal appeal has been confirmed by the High Court, I send it to the
Appeal. You are talking about the appeal.
that has been rejected on the ground that it has not affidavit has been made by the family members, but not before any disallowed
See,
notary. Can it be a ground? And is it not a violation of prisoner's rights? Thank you.
Thank you for raising this. And I would agree here and admit here that this is actually an issue. And it is being now taken up with the Supreme Court, with Honorable Justice Gowai has been apprised of it. And we are working it out with my Lord Justice Moral how to correct that. But this is an issue, all these things should be relaxed. A person is in jail, how can he send affidavits and that too affidavit requires to affirm on oath what is written in the appeal. Appeal is drafted by a Supreme Court advocate here. We are trying to get rid of it totally. But it may take some time, and that's a good intervention, and I agree, admit that. We are trying to take care of it. I love it. Another question. She is asking another question.
Talking about the DLSA, SLSA, and NLSA. Firstly, legal authority is there, but where the high authorities are fighting for late, limitation will be discussed.
You see, I have understood your point. Okay, I have understood your point on these things.
Sorry to say one thing. When the petitioners are fighting the limitation petition, they are rejected by the, in my experience I am saying, because of the delay of 4 years, 5 years, that has been rejected. In some cases, it has been rejected, and they are. I am not naming any judge's name, but they are saying analysis is there. He will take care of it. He go for the appeal in the Supreme Court. So why the question is because the justice officer, judicial officer are not asking to the DLS or SLSA, why they did not take any steps within the time. That is not a issue. If it is, then it is to be taken care. Thank you.
On the appeal side, I just informed you that there is one petition going on in the Supreme Court right now where recently NALSA has been appointed as a nodal office to look into these. They have filed a preliminary report out there how to ensure that the appeals are filed in time. But yes, even in that, certain technical problems are coming in the way, so it has not yet been finalized. What we have done till now is to suggest that all the records get digitized and then right up the trial court records get digitized and go to the High Court. Delhi already has this. Other states we don't have that. Then from High Court it comes to the Supreme Court in a digitized form. The difficulty there is of translations because the evidence and all is in vernacular, and trying to get to overcome that. But technical issues are there, and the thing that you say rejected because of delay. In Supreme Court, the issue is exactly that. I mean, it starts with the thing that there is 500 days delay, 600 days delay, and the lordship said, how do we condone that? So that's how we came in, and we are trying to suggest measures. Saji wants to tell.
I may just add, your question is pertaining to the limitation period and role of legal assist. Legal provision of limitation is there. Cases pertaining to DLSA does not have a separate provision. So it comes to DLSA so that appeals are filed within limitation period. There are many difficulties. In Delhi, as per the directions of our High Court, but we have tried to make a central register. Central register in jail means Bihar jail, there is our central office. Then information about convictions of each case is being communicated to the central office and a register is maintained. And then whether the person has a legal aid lawyer or a private advocate at the time of conviction, he is being asked whether he needs legal aid for filing of appeal. If he says yes, we prepare the appeal and try to file it within limitation period. If he says no, then also within limitation period we try to monitor it, whether he has filed an appeal through private counsel, and we again fill up a form through legal aid advocate, and again he may change his mind and then may say that he wants legal aid advocate now. Then we try to file the appeal. If limitation period has expired, it is itself a explanation before the courts. So, DLSA has to administratively make out a program and a plan so that none of the case is being overlooked by it, and preparations are being made timely so that appeals may be filed within limitation period, or if there is some explanation, maybe after limitation with reasonable explanations, but there should not be delay of 4 years or 5 years.
My submission is to Sri Agarwal. I want to put the point the other way around. Here we are sitting for the prisoner's right, but they are there by their choice. What about the innocent victims? Nobody is talking about that. And you are talking about the rights of the prisoners, their facilities. The way you are providing the facilities, everybody is happy. The loss, fear of the prison is lost. And if they are so happy, I know, and Agarwal Jansa would also agree to it. In Delhi, during this winter, there is heavy intake by the jails. And unless you put them fear in the mind of the people going to jail, yes, I am going to jail, then there would be overcrowding. Overstaffing is one thing. But please, one must start thinking why and how to stop the facilities being given to the prisoners. They are there by choice. They have committed wrong. They have committed crime. Rehabilitation is one thing, that's fine. But initially, there should be some fear in their mind.
HRLN will ask them to conduct another program for victims. So, still I can't help it. This is not my choice. Anybody else?
But sir, that is the point. Unless somebody raises the point, how it will take to the authorities.
I just want to supplement what Mr. Agarwal has stated about the overcrowding of the jails. Basically, jails are overcrowded, not because of judiciary. These are overcrowded because of inaction by the executive. I am telling you, in Delhi, we are having 16 jails. At least 7 jails have been constructed on the direction of the High Court. At least 7 jails, I am telling you from my experience. Because whenever here is the democracy, whenever you are going to construct a jail, that is not going to fetch you votes. Here it is the vote politics. Nobody care about the prisoners. They are concerned, or in democracy, they are concerned with the votes, and the prison is the last priority area for any government. In Delhi, because of judiciary intervention, we are having much more comfortable position. Thank you. Yeah.
Sir, my name is Ajay Verma and I'm from IBJ and I'm closely associated and working with the legal service authorities also. I have a request to Alok sir, because the thing which we have seen in Delhi and which is a very unique project that Delhi State Legal Service Authority has started, and many of the jail visiting advocates here sitting will agree that they almost find difficulty to access the record of the inmate when they are interacting. Because when they want to draft appeal, they want to draft anything. The Delhi started a model project in some New Delhi district. The PMS was connected with the Delhi district website and they were getting access to the FIR and charge sheet. I think this can be implemented in all over India. It will really solve a lot of problems.
Okay, that's right. We are trying to do that as the team had already indicated. But just very quickly, there are issues. There are 3 different types of systems. One is the CCTNS, the police system. Then there is this PMS, the prison management system. And the third is our case management system, CMS. All the 3 should jive in. So therefore, there is another by the government ICDS, Interoperable Criminal Justice System, ICJS or something. If you combine all of them, still there is one gap. The court proceedings from the at the remand stage are in none of the systems. So we are trying, we are getting into this, we are trying that everything comes up in an integrated way. That's why I said that the ultimate aim of digitizing the jail clinics also is that everything goes there directly as a feed. But these are the problems still. So we are trying to work with everybody, and if we are able to do it, then yes. The draft of the warrants that Sanjeev talked about, that has all these things. You know, the first remand, the second remand, they are not there on any of the systems now. So maybe with that, probably we are able to post it from there. And these warrants start being used.
This is a session on the mentally ill in prison, on the disabled, the sick, the old, and the ill in prison. So we'll start with Mr. Anbu Dorai. Anbu, we have 10 minutes each, and then we'll have as many rounds of questions and answers as possible.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. Anbu Dorai from Chennai. I work with the panel, and my colleague, psychologist Lalita, I'm a psychiatrist. We have been working with the prison authorities in Chennai and in Tamil Nadu in a small way. So, I'm really here more to learn from you rather than to share much with you. But what are the things we are doing, we'll share with you. But there's one more thing that I want to flag and really announce and advertise. So, So because I think that is a very key strategy in this whole thing that we have been discussing since morning and which all of us have been facing all these years. And it's not just for the jail issue but also community itself, I mean the whole country itself. So what is that? And that is a different approach. So I'll come to that. But first to just tickle you a little or just prod you a little, I want to ask you anybody, how many bodies do you have? You take any guess, you can tell me. How many bodies do you have? Or you can put up your fingers. One body. So the whole house is united and there's only one body. Okay? Can you show me that body? That one body is so precious, there's only one. That. Okay. You said two. How is it two?
So Dr. Brad says many bodies.
Sorry? Oh, many bodies. Okay, there's only one soul but many bodies. Okay, two.
Subtle body.
Okay, subtle body, auric body, and tangible body. Yeah, that's nice. Any other sets of bodies?
You have the body as a social object, so you have the social body.
Yeah,
then you have the body in relationship with the state. So all the institutions, you have your body reacts and plays a different part. So we could say body in a family space, or body in conflict with the law, or in the society, or the sexual body, or the mental.
Fine. So how many numbers will you put? Like there's one, there's two, and there's many innumerable. Well, 40,000 Jan and all that, by the time you come. But there's only one soul.
Because you said psychologist, so I refer to psychologist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, all these answers are right, and there are many more answers. But why I'm bringing this here, basically it's a WHO model, nothing else. That is the mind, the body, and the social body. Okay, about this, the physical body, immediate answer, right? All of you so aware of it. I mean, even there we're not aware, like our foot, say our back or things like that, we're not so worried, we don't take such good care of it. Mostly we are, caring of the face. So, but even then there is some awareness of the body, some awareness of the mind when it gets into trouble, right? When you fall in love, you're jilted in love, or you have a loss, you have a death, you have some disease, some worry, all that, you become aware of your mind body. But the social body, that is what we are least aware of, and that is what creates so much of problem for us. And all these three are seamlessly integrated. So so we have to be present to the fact of all these three bodies. So basically my presentation, I'm just looking at this grid, of looking at the body, which is the first thing. In Tamil we say, Suvarillama Chittirangai. You can't stick a poster without a wall. Although now you can do it with holograms and all that, right? You can, they show on TED Talk and all that, you can just show a thing. But then generally speaking, without this body, all the other drama doesn't happen. So the body and the mind body, the physical body, the mind body, and the social body. So if we look at the jail concept itself, and the second thing, so now let me come to what is it that I want to flag off. Apart from the few innovations and things that we did, or some little attempts that we did, I want to with such a large audience, I'd like to highlight or emphasize a certain approach, and that is the community medicine approach or the preventive and social medicine approach. So I've been trained in that apart from being a psychiatrist, and I see that we have to use that both in the larger society where we are doing mental health work, but also in the jail system. So we have to have that kind of a three-step process, right? Where yes, all of us are specialists, some of us are super specialists, even within the legal specialty of super specialization. But we need to network it, we need to connect all of them so that there's a two-way movement, which I don't see happening in all our systems, whether it's the medical system, whether it's the psychological, psychiatric system, or the larger legal and other welfare admin systems. So that's what. So I start the thing with, and pardon me for my slides. because I'm a very chalk and talk person, so and mostly talk a little bit of chalk. So the minors cannery, but you can imagine a cannery. Okay, the cannery is something which is a very fragile bird, and like all small birds, its metabolic rate is very high. So in the older days, in the medieval days, the miners would carry canneries down to the mines, because by the time we become aware of the oxygen saturation and get distress, by then it's too late to return. But the tiny bird would show its distress much earlier. So they would carry that. And if you take care of your cannery, if you're sensitive to your cannery, then automatically you're alright, because it shows distress much earlier. So basically the same concept in Christianity, that is render unto his least. What you render unto his least, you render unto him. Or in Indian context, Narad Seva, Narayan Seva. So basically, if you rise the level of marginalized, then you can, all the ones who are above that automatically rise. So let's look at overall the marginalized. So that's the whole list of marginalized people. Among them, in the prison, among the marginalized are the mentally unwell. Yeah, the next one. Next one. So, what are the community approaches? So, you can have, basically it starts with the community itself. For example, if you take the legal issues, we are aware that the prisoners are not aware of their rights, they are not aware of avenues, even they are not aware of the free legal service which are available. We have gone to remand centers, and like someone was saying in the morning that language is a barrier. We as Ghanaians have a whole national, if not even one or two international people there. So language is not a problem for us as such. So we are including Lalita speaks Telugu, Bengali and Hindi, and of course English, and I speak Kannada, Telugu, Hindi. And so we manage between us. But when we went there, we found that just for want of translation, there were people in remand for even a year or more. So all these kind of things happen. So even outside, the same thing. You don't know your rights. Of course, the law says not knowing the law is no excuse. But then, what happens if you don't know the law? Is you get trapped, you get delayed. So a three-step process would be like the community itself being aware and auxiliary workers. They are not qualified people, but they have hands-on training and they form a bridge between the first level of professional care of generalists. In psychiatric or medical sense, it will be a general physician, a general nurse, pharmacist, etc. In your case, it will be your basic frontline legal, a lawyer, maybe a novice or a medium training, but was not super duper specialized. The last one would be, I don't know, Supreme Court or whatever. So what are the approaches? So there is the first one is legal procedural. So that is there in the jail system. Quite a lot of legal procedural and protocols and all that. There's some amount of welfare and services also coming up. Obviously, what is lacking is education and empowerment, and that is where we need to work on. Yeah, next one. So if you look at the three-step, again the three-body grid, the physical infrastructure would be your body. The psychological inputs which are integrated into the primary healthcare inside the jail to be a community health approach, and also the psychological issue. And the third one would be where the lived experience forms the social body and how we intervene in that. So this is just one sample of how we can look at the three-body grid and the three levels of care. So if we see at the primary level, in the mind, what do you do, in the body, what do you do, and as you keep neglecting and reach the later stages. So the prison would be the ultimate late stage, right? As far as the social body is concerned, your community, your family, your school, etc., has not been able to, so you have fallen there. As far as mental health parlance, it would be in ancient times of asylums, or even now the specialty psychiatric settings. When your mental health goes down to the tertiary level. So, in a way, prison, we can look at it in a different. So, we go to the last thing. So, I just wanted to flag these two things. So, let's go to the last one. Yes, so the banyan, what we do. You can, of course, read it, we send you the thing. So These are the issues that we work with, which everybody has talked about. We have tried to bring out certain innovations in it. Okay, we can go to the next one. These are the issues. Again, we know we have gone over all the next one. Yeah. So I have titled intentions, innovations, and interventions. It's a mix of what the government itself has done, something that we, the Banyan, have done, other NGOs have done, and some of them are intentions. So just a quick rundown of that. The writing on wall or the speaking wall. At the Banyan also we have these posters and things. So people say the walls have, people say walls have ears, but when you put the right posters, walls also have mouths to speak or hearts to appeal. So we are developing those kind of things, IEC materials, a library which is specially themed for the jail thing, and jail themed films, documentaries, cultural artifacts, writing, for example, say this book, Bad Boys or Bokaro Jail, so things like that, in vernacular and in English and in Hindi, whatever, you know, and networking with other prisoners, other NGOs, because that's very important. Otherwise, there's a lot of duplication and there's a lot of neglect gaps where nobody is working and some place where everybody is crowding. So, unless we have a round table with other people who are working in the same sphere, we keep duplicating each other. The prison itself has done vocational training, prison bazaar, they've done your what is that? The recent Akshay Kumar Padman, you know. So the Padman thing they brought there also much before Padman was released or talked about. So that's quite a good innovation. Bringing student paralegals, student legal and all that, and volunteer mobilization, which Banyan has a specialization in that. And we've tried to train them in intake screening for everybody who comes in. So the day they come in, there's an intake screening so that easily picks up certain gross or easily detectable problems so that they can be immediately taken care of. We have a suicide risk checklist. There's an integrated internal inspection. So it's a all-party kind of inspection rounds of all the systems, both the human aspect of it, the support structure, safety, the hygiene, all that. Induction of new patients, as I said, this is a different thing. Intakes filters them out, but the induction inputs protects them by helping them learn about what are their rights, or how they can be safe, whom they can contact, stuff like that. Mental health first aid. There's a pre-release manual. And last one. Yeah, I'm done. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. I think you're done. So, yeah. Thank you for a patient listening.
So good afternoon. I hope we don't put you off to sleep. Talking about prisoners with disabilities particularly, I would like to start with the case that I and Ricky had worked on together. We had filed, but we were asked to actually go back to the prison authority with it. It was a case which we had begun by filing RTIs to find out how many prisoners are in the system who are disabled. And from the various jails in Delhi, we got to know that there were about 54 prisoners in total, excluding prisoners with mental health issues. And they included blind, they included physical disability, they included locomotor disability, and they included hearing and speech impairment. And they were present in all the jails. Or I think at that time there were 7 or 9 jails, 9 jails in Delhi. And so you can see the range. And this PI we had done in 2013 when there were only 7 categories of disability. Now with the new Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, those categories have increased manyfold. We now have 21 categories, and even at that time when we'd actually done this RTI and we filed the PI on the basis of the RTI, we were very unsure of whether the prison system had actually overlooked or did not have systems to pick up cases with intellectual disabilities or learning disabilities. Learning disabilities at that time specifically was not a recognized disability. Now it is. So, with the 21 disabilities coming in now, these populations will increase, their needs and requirements will increase, and even the capability of the prison staff to recognize them, to be able to identify them on the basis of their disabilities will also be something that will have to be looked into. This is, for I think all of us who are in the disability sector, many of these new disabilities we have very little knowledge about. So this is something that we are also going to learn as time goes by. Within the disability system, of course, you have people with disabilities, which is definitely an identified category. And within that, the mental health category, or what we call people with psychosocial disabilities, is a huge number. You can have people with special medical needs. For example, we had done another case from HRLN of a prisoner called Santosh Kumar. He had drunk acid at one point in his life, so he had a tracheostomy tube in his stomach. So because he had drank acid, he couldn't have any intake of food from his mouth. So he had this tube and he had to liquidize a special diet kind of food and put that through his tube. And when he went into prison, initially he was provided a grinder and his special diet, but slowly all those provisions were taken away from him. And as a result, he lost almost 30 kilos of weight within a span of 3 months. And in the prison system, you actually have regular medical checkups, where we found that in the prison rules, the medical officer has to pay special attention to any prisoner who's losing weight rapidly. He was still missed in that process, and he ended up dying as a result of all that negligence and the fact that he was barely able to eat food because the grinder was also taken away from him. He was not being provided his special diet, and he had also developed tuberculosis within the prison system. Then you can have people who might fall sick, and certain sicknesses would also require special measures, special care, and a sensitive attitude in treatment. And many old people, as they grow older, who might be in the prison population as well, you'll have a category of people who will grow old in prison, may develop disabilities or disabling conditions like hearing issues, visual issues, physical mobility issues. So these are all categories that will come within the vulnerable set. And within that, obviously, as we always say, disability is a very fluid category. All of us are potential entrants to it all the time. So, therefore, even in the prison system, you may be a person with disability entering the prison system. You may become disabled while you are in prison. There may be fights, there may be accidents, there may be torture, which might lead to disability. A lot of prisoners may actually develop mental health issues during their stay in a prison facility. And you may also develop temporary disability. What we say is you may develop a fracture in the leg or something like that, which may also hinder mobility issues for you. Another place which gets hit, which is not exactly a prison setup, but is within the criminal justice system, is beggary homes. And in beggary homes, you will find populations of people with disabilities, especially people affected by leprosy, because they are widely into begging still. There are about 170 leprosy colonies in India, and most people residing in these colonies even today exist and survive on begging. And a lot of people with mental health issues, especially those that are abandoned by their families and are left on roadsides, can be picked up by the police under these laws. And some beggary laws also provide for picking up people who are blind, crippled, or otherwise incurably helpless. They don't define the term incurably helpless, which doesn't help, but basically giving them an even wider ambit of picking up people with disabilities from the streets, because people with disabilities in reality also face a lot of abandonment. So this is another category. Of course, why are we here and why are we doing this session? It's very simple. It's because they may be in the prison system, they may have their liberty taken away, but they still have their inherent dignity. We still have the obligation to respect that inherent dignity, to ensure that they don't face discrimination because of disability in accessing the prison life and in participating in the prison life. And Another thing that is very important, especially for people with disabilities, is reasonable accommodation. Nipun will be talking more about physical accessibility with reference to disability. Reasonable accommodation is, for example, in Santosh's case that I was referring to, his need for a grinder, for example, is something that will fall within reasonable accommodation. It is his specific need, very specific to his condition, to his disability. So, these are things that you're not by law always mandated to do. The objective in reasonable accommodation or underlying is financial to some extent, that if you can provide it without undue burden on the system, then you should provide reasonable accommodation. And now even the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act says that if you deny reasonable accommodation without that justification, then it will amount to discrimination of the person with disability on the grounds of disability. And over and above that, of course, authorities have the duty to take care of the people that are in their custody. The supporting documents to this, or where you will find these rights, especially for disabled people, is the UNCRPD, the Convention on the Rights of the Persons with Disabilities, which India has signed and ratified both. And the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, which is based and modeled on the UNCRPD. Both of these talk about the right to access of justice, which will include prisoners. The UNCRPD also, within access to justice, also specifically talks about prison and ensuring access for prisoners within the prison system. Then you will also have the general rights. So if you go back, you will have the general rights to inherent dignity, equality, etc., and the right to health. One of the important documents, of course, there's a UN resolution for protection of persons with mental illness. But another very important UN resolution is what is more popularly known as the Nelson Mandela Rules, which talks in great detail about health rights of prisoners, including if they require surgeries, etc., for maintenance of their health. So it even covers those aspects within it. Move on. What is required from the prison system? From the interventions that we did at HRLN, we learned that there are a lot of gaps and lots of issues, like for example, we knew of two prisoners in Bihar who were provided crutches, but then the rubbers on their crutches had gone. So as a result, one of them fell and actually broke a bone in his leg and was further disabled as a result of it. So, first of all, you need to have a sensitive approach. Accessibility, of course, Nipun will talk about the more wheelchair-associated accessibility needs, but accessibility would also include other things like break books in libraries in the prison, hearing loop systems for prisoners who are deaf or hard of hearing. You may require other modes of communication with prisoners who have other communication difficulties. So there are other aspects to accessibility. Of course, aids and appliances, but it is also important in aids and appliances to remember that you have to maintain them as well. Just procuring them is not enough. Ensuring that they are in working condition is also an important part within the system, and we had learned when we had done the RTIs that most prisons do not actually keep a stock and maintenance of the aids and appliances that they purchase. Special dietary requirements, training of the staff to deal with people with special needs and persons with disabilities, interlinking with support persons and with organizations and experts. Maybe within the prison, having a grievance redressal system, then cases like Santosh's would not slip through the cracks. And of course, one of the most important things is budgetary allocation. That was a question that we had asked in our RTI and we had got no response on it because the prison system does not put any money separately for prisoners with disabilities and other special needs. So thank you very much. I hope I'm within time. These are two further handbooks again from the UN on prisoners with special needs. So that will give you more detailed examples of what can be done or can be adapted in the Indian system.
We shifted two prisoners arrested and he actually fell down at that particular vehicle, which now means that, that in America, whenever you are arrested, you have to be on disabled accommodation, even in terms of transport to go to jail or later when you have to go to court from jail, etc. The third case that I often talk about is the W. case, which was about this person who was deaf and he did not get a proper sign language interpreter throughout the international system. And he filed the case, and now, as per reasonable cooperation, you need to have a qualified American sign language interpreter. Whereas in India, most jails themselves do not have a single Indian sign language interpreter. So that's really the difference between India and America in that sense. And that's despite the fact that India signed the UN Convention for Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Sachi, can you go next, please? Next second. Yeah. India signed the UN Convention for Rights of Persons with Disabilities, where Article 15 and 1 and Article 15 clearly speak about prison rights. And this was around 10 years back. So one expected when the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 comes up, there will be something. But what happened instead is, Sachi, can you go next? And is nothing. Because Article 3 and 12 basically speak about justice, but there's nothing specific about prisoners as such, and that was really disappointing. And it was heartening that based on the work that we have done and the PRs, etc., the Delhi High Court asked us to go here and do an audit of the three jails that I mentioned, and now we'll go into specific details of what really is there in those three jails this time. Can you go next again? Next. On the first photo, that is a clear idea. That's Mandoli jail, but it's the same situation in all the three jails. Rohini, Tihar, for that matter. Can you go next option? After you enter a jail, you need to go forward for a medical test normally. So you go into an administrative area if you're a prisoner. I've taken it as a sequence of the kind of things a prisoner faces when he's in the jail. And if you look at the service counters here, etc., in Mandoli jail, we found that the counter was fine, so that means it was at a low level where a person with disability could interact with whoever was sitting on the other side. But in both Tihar and Rohini, it was too high and it was impossible for a person with disability to interact. So that's something that I wanted to share with the administrative area. Can you go next? If you look at medical facilities in most Tihar has this really steep ramp. It's almost as tough as climbing Mount Everest for somebody on a wheelchair. The other jails did not even have a ramp, and there were actually steps leading up to the medical center, which is pretty sad. But then, as I often joke that I remember when I was applying to St. Stephen's for my graduation, even that university is medical facility where people, when it's checked with the person is fully disabled or not, is actually on the first floor of a hospital that does not. Is on the first floor of a hospital that does not have a lift. So I guess the situation is the same everywhere. Jails are just an example of how accessible this country is. Can you go next? Mulakat rooms had a couple of problems. Firstly, the Mulakat rooms had steps. In most of the areas, you see Rohini and Tihar on both these sides. And this is important because Mulakat rooms are the rooms where a prisoner meets a guest who comes in from outside. And if the Mulakat rooms are not accessible, that means not only are they inaccessible to a prisoner, but also to somebody who's a relative, a friend, or maybe even a lawyer of a prisoner who is disabled in that sense. So he or she cannot really reach the prisoner. Secondly, in most of the jails, apart from Mandoli, I think the height of the Mulakat room center, of that window in the Mulakat room was too high. So a person literally could not properly interact. Mandoli was a newer jail where it was better. And interestingly, we interacted with the jail authorities. What they told us is that if we see that a person is disabled and he cannot use the Mulakat room, we'll make it a point ourselves to ensure that he or she can meet the relatives at some other place. But you're leaving that you're leaving it too autonomous for the prison authorities on whether they'll be nice to that person or not. I always believe that it should be systems and infrastructure in terms of accessibility just for private rather than personal whims and fancies, then I think that's also disappointing that something like a Mulaqat room is accessible to. That is used by both outsiders and people with disabilities. General facilities, we just wanted to show some of the good things. In Mandoli jail, there have been some improvements over the jails in terms of dimensions of ramps. The rooms themselves are much larger in that sense. But then they share by too many people too. Apart from that, especially when we went to Mandoli jail, we also saw a place where there were wheelchairs that were properly stored and there was an inventory of wheelchairs which people can use. I'm not sure whether they look too brand new, so I don't know if they put them just before I ordered whether they existed earlier, but I think in full disclosure we should share those photos. Anyone else? This is a continuation. Anyone else? The bedding, now this is interesting. Tihar is the oldest out of the three units, is what we were told. And whereas Tihar actually had bedding for persons with disabilities, so even the bed did not have adjustable height, at least there was a bed so that they were on a cage platform and it would be easy for them to get up from it. Rohini and Mandoli, especially Mandoli because it's such a new jail, are actually one step behind Tihar when it comes to bedding. There is no bedding and people with disabilities who sleep on the floor and because the sheet is different for them to get up from the floor in most cases. And often what happens is that a lot of people with disabilities are just put in the medical ward and they are just keep lying down there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because this bedding is not suitable and there's more than one. Toilets and bathrooms, Mandoli had a few specific disability toilets which were pretty accessible to be honest. But if you look at Tihar and Rohini, that wasn't really the case. You can look at the photo from Tihar, which is very prominent in the middle, where the thing would step to go to the toilet and a person would really have to jump over that step to use the toilet. Besides that, flushes were at a very high level, which wheelchair users or people with any other disability would find it difficult to use. And secondly, the toilets were not flushed and properly maintained either, which is not just a disability issue, but I think a basic human rights issue. So that's something that one really would need to look at as this issue is taken forward. Kitchens and canteens. Mandoli's canteen had this beautiful ramp, which is shown here, but overall the kitchens and canteens were completely inaccessible. And these kitchens are also major source of employment for a lot of people normally in jails, but there was no person with disability who really seemed to be working in any of the kitchens. So I think that's another thing that we really need to look at. That when a person with disability is in jail, is he or she getting an opportunity to develop a skill, take up a job, or do something so that they can learn a source of living maybe and come back to society more mainstream in that sense. And I think unfortunately they get more segregated because of the lack of facilities in jails. And just continuing that, I spoke of the kitchens, but if you look at the yoga studios or the other recreational centers, the FM stations, which has a very small door, the story is really the same. These are sources of recreation, sources of kind of employment for persons with their age. But all these things are really not looked at for persons with disabilities. And I think what most jail authorities think is that if the physiological needs in terms of food and clothing are looked after, that's enough for a person with disability. But I think they need to be looked at as complete individuals when it comes to jail, and that's something that is totally lacking. GN Sai Baba is a case which I'm sure all of you have heard of, and I'm not really going to go into the politics of it because I'm sure everybody has their own opinion. But his health has actually deteriorated since he's been in jail, and I think it's his case that has really been brought prison rights of persons with disabilities into the limelight. And ideologies, politics aside, I think including the security of the US government should ensure that any person with disabilities in jail gets the basic rights and dignity. That's the meaning of basic rights and recommendations. I'm sure all of you know about them. I mentioned in the previous slide. So, system care, skill-based utilization, accessible infrastructure, no discrimination policies, counseling facilities, and I specifically mentioned counseling facilities here because most jails did not have. I think most jails actually did not have a full-time counselor. But there were visiting counselors who were coming 3 days a week for a limited amount of time, which was very scarce compared to the number of prisoners there. Reasonable living conditions for PWDs, partnering with NGOs for skill development, and monitoring of participation. These are something that really need to be done for persons with disabilities. And this is the second last slide. My last slide talks about exactly NGO things. NGO partnerships. This And this is completely lacking of personal disabilities. I think a lot of NGOs can do a lot of stuff in contributing towards making life of personal disabilities better in jails. And this is a model that has worked in other areas. For example, I saw a beautiful pledge for children when I was at Tihar jail, which was sponsored by an NGO. So why not have more such tie-ups with various NGOs for skill training for personal disabilities too? And I'm sure the organizers here will push for that case. And I look forward to be able to come on to develop for personal disabilities. Thank you.
Mentally ill persons, if at all, they'll end up in a jail. I just want to give a preview of this, that it is not a agenda or not a point for today. It has basically been happening from centuries. Previously, mentally ill, if you go to the history, mentally ill persons, there is no expertise in the psychiatry, there is no drugs available. So mentally ill has been deliberately put up to the jail. If we go to the 300 years ago, they have been used as a place where the psychiatrically ill person can stay. If the psychiatric illness is such that they can manage at home, it's okay. Otherwise, it is a rule that they have to stay in a jail. So it's been a history for nearly about 300 years ago, when only in 1694, exactly about 3 centuries back only, that they feel that lunatics should not be in a jail, they should be in some separate states, and where the concept of the mental asylum first originated in 1712. So after this, the time is still, as our friend has told, the time is still takes long time, nearly 250 years, to understand that lunatics are not to be kept in jail and there is a separate asylum for them. And then today is the era of de-institutionalization. There are multiple factors which increase the jail population of mentally ill persons. Family doesn't want to take care of them, and the government, state government, is in a mode for the de-institutionalization. They don't want to run a mental asylum. They just want to treat psychiatric illnesses and send them home. But family is not there to take care of them, and the illness is such that they may again do something which is not right, and they again caught in jail. So it's a vicious cycle which is happening. So the studies are there from the country. We just have a share with that. So the numbers are climbing since the time the de-institutionalization has been done. But now with the advent of good therapies, good drugs, now psychiatrically ill persons are basically taken care and maybe not pushed up into jail by the family or by themselves because they involved in some crime and they can't put up their defense. So this is a state that why they have been in the jail, because no place for them to stay. In a country like India, we still have to emerge the concept of the halfway homes and sheltered workplace where the psychiatric person can work and can stay. So the lot of problem happens to them because the mentally ill persons, they can attack the staff, and they could be a victimization by the other people because of the disproportionate staff and the numbers, and other people, normal people, can take advantage of them. And because it's a jail environment, so previously the mental illnesses will go for deterioration because there is no proper treatment for available earlier. So this was the problems we had if at all we put mentally ill person in jail. Law people are expert that whether we should keep them or not, because there is some regulation, I am not expert of that would say that if somebody does a crime under the unsoundness of mind, should not be punished. But that's expertise of the law and the judiciary. I am not somebody to comment upon. I am just sharing that what will happen if at all they go in jail. See, they may be in a jail for long time. While I was working in the TRD, I have at least 2-3 people who are done a crime because of their illness in psychiatry. They pose them as a terrorist because they have a illusion that they are belonging to some Khalistan category, and they said that we are from Khalistan and we just, I'm just sharing the case. And they have been put in jail, and despite the family arguing, because it's a matter of the airline safety, they couldn't, and the person does not take any effort to seek treatment, neither take treatment. If we initiate treatment also, they didn't come.
So that is a person that they will be in a jail for longer time. Despite you want to help them, family want to help them, they because of lacking of insight, they don't come for treatment and languish in jail for longer duration. And they cause major behavioral problems. So at times they do not get the good certificate, good character certificate from the jail authorities. So there is no rebate on the the verdict or the what you call jail term because of their behavior, because they have been not able to understand how to behave properly in the jail to get the good character certificate and maybe rebate in the. Also, they have been abused, beaten up, or involved in some sexual crimes by the other inmates because of their lack of understanding and maybe low intelligence or maybe not able to say anything. They have been made at the time, most of the time, mockery by people, made as a use of entertainment source. Most of the time, I see there are some people who are in some psychiatric illnesses called mania, so people make them to dance, sing, all the time. So this is what they become a source of the entertainment of the other inmates. And also it leads to suicides. Because they are having psychiatric illnesses, so they may go for suicide. So a lot of people are risk of suicide if at all they have some psychiatric illnesses. So as an Indian scenario, I would say there are accordingly out of the 4 lakh inmates across the country, 5,000 are the seriously mentally ill persons. The number is highest in the Uttar Pradesh, followed by the Madhya Pradesh, and later on in South in Karnataka, Telangana, and the Andhra. So there are reforms suggested because this is the Indian scenario that if we ban the entries of the illegal substance, the risk of mental illnesses are less in jail. Introduction of the yoga, meditation, and psychological counseling will help the inmates to overcome the stress better and to identify the psychiatric ill patients. Now, in the Tihar jail, what we have done that we train the jail staff because they are the first persons like wardens and the head wardens. We just take our lectures from them, identify the psychiatric illnesses so that they can identify. And there in the jail is a concept of the Sahib or what you call Munshi Lakia. So we just train them. We conducted a what you call psychiatric workshop, psychological workshop for them to better equip and identify the psychiatric ill patient and any person who is behaviorally getting distracted or disturbed. The NGOs have been very kind enough and working well to conduct many yoga camps and the meditation camps. From Ramdev to Art of Living to many NGOs are working, and there are volunteer workers who teach yogas, especially in the psychiatric ward. So and in Tihar jail, so there are all not as bad. There are good things also. There is I would say it's a country's largest drug addiction center. No center in the country has a 120 bedded drug addiction centers. And we also run a specialized care center for the smack addicts, heroin, brown sugar addicts, and it is in liaison with the community. They are maintained by the AIMS, so it is not all that bad scenario in the Tihar. So I would say Tihar is a, what you can say, it's a model for the country and outside the country also, that how we can better help the person with the addiction, because addiction is a main source of the crime. Also, there are separate wards for the psychiatric ill patients so that they are not being tortured or troubled by anything. And also, I would say, there is a provision in the Mental Health Act that if at all you are not able to handle the psychiatric ill patient in the jail, you can very well refer them to a psychiatric center as per the Mental Health Care Act article, section number 27. You can just refer and get him admitted into the psychiatric care hospital. Recently, the Delhi High Court has passed a verdict for opening of the halfway homes, where the psychiatric patient can be kept in jail and also been given some sheltered locations training. Along with the number of the counselors have been increased. So now, as per the High Court verdict, now the counselors have been increased to a lot. I would say it's a ratio of about as per the UN Nations accreditation. So we are in the upgrading ourselves. So with this, I just thank you that this is a state, but in the jail, while advocating for the the help of the clients, you being all law graduates, I would say there are people who use the psychiatric services for their benefit. That is a double-edged sword in the jail. That is what I experienced. That what appears in jail is actually you have to be taken with a very serious note. That sometimes the criminals are so sharp-minded they use the psychiatric ailment for their benefit and getting some benefit from the law. So rather than providing all the benefits to them, we have to keep an eye and double check so that we should not be at a play at their hands. With this, I thank you so much.
Are there any questions? Quickly, 7 to 8 minutes. So we'll take 4 questions together and then we'll ask our panelists to answer.
I've been also visiting the jail, and this is personally what I witnessed. Once when I went to the jail, this especially used to call attention because TIA and solution we always talk about it, we have interactive discussion. You'll be very surprised to know. I saw a huge line of inmates sitting on the floor and one doctor sitting on the chair, and he would call one by one about, and he would pop up some pills in his mouth. So otherwise, any kind of administration of drug without a proper prescription, without any proper documentation is not really valid. So I not very questions.
Because most of the time, the jail is an interesting place. How do we identify, especially even as lawyers, when we interact with them, that they are victims of depression? If you could kindly tell us the symptoms of depression.
My question is, to your experience, that how or do the spiritual counseling or a belief of a prisoner is helping a prisoner to come out of his mental illness or what?
So my question to you is, from the perspective of a doctor, so how would you contribute for prisoner rights? Like, I really like the suggestions you have come up with regarding yoga and rehab, but what is it from a doctor's perspective? Are they really ready to contribute? What is the willingness?
From
Doctors.
Why not? Is there any other question?
We always take the pro bono cases. Why not the doctors could go, like voluntarily they go, the good doctors from good hospitals, like the big hospitals, labs and reporters there are, go inside the jail and treat the people there.
One second. Sir, everyone will answer like this. We'll start from Anbu because he was the first speaker, and then come this way. Here. Okay. And last question we'll take.
So my question is also to you. When you said that victims of mental health issues are facing, they are being falsely accused of cases and branded as terrorists. So does the problem start from the very basic that we live in a country where mental health is a taboo and going to a counselor is something to be ridiculed. So does the problem start with depression and aggravation? It starts at every level, from the student to everything. So once are you trying to say, I think I'm getting it clear that once the problem reaches once the problem crosses the all necessity level, isn't that the problems of them targeting them as a prisoner and branding them?
So one of the things that I pick on is how doctors can intervene. So one is, I think it's a whole interdisciplinary approach. It has to be a team approach. I think the only thing the doctors can do is be a good coordinator. Lots of times doctors become the leaders by default. But if they can be a good team leader, that would be good. And not block any other system. So, allopathy is automatically so strong. So, other systems like what sir was saying, yoga or naturopathy or homeopathy and stuff get sidelined. So, if we can, I'm just saying, so it can happen like that. Or social work and this thing can get sidelined. So, if all of them work together, that's a way forward. So, what doctors can do is not be blocked in that round table kind of thing. Two, if we can bring, it's like in a shopping mall, you can do everything from entertainment to your grocery to clothes and whatnot. So the same way, any center, if it gives all at one shot, that also helps. So like you were asking about early intervention and neglect of that, and then progressing to worse situations. So the stigma there is, if I go there, what happens? So one of the simple things is like abortion. If you have a separate abortion clinic, it becomes a stigma. Nobody goes there. If you have a separate HIV clinic, it becomes so the vertical system. You horizontally integrated. So the person goes into the doctor's chamber or the counselor's chamber and talks whatever. And if that is integrated into your primary health center or whatever, so the stigma is not there. So you, and also at the health nurse or the physician's level, they have to have some amount of training in psychiatry or psychology, because almost anything from 30 to 40% of the clinic, of a general clinic, is psychosomatic ailments or even purely psychogenic ailments. Even the rest have a lot of psychosomatic repercussions. So definitely they need to, and that's not happening. So that might be a problem. Spirituality again is something like a cognitive framework. So that's a community cognitive framework, I would say, without any certification, and it helps, but it's plus minus. It works for some, it doesn't work for some. How much they go, what kind of, and the presence of a proper guru, how you select the guru, all that is a problem. So sometimes you can get into some kind of cult kind of a thing. But I have myself found that people's religious conviction across the board, whichever religion they are, it helps. Sometimes the relief that we cannot give with medicine or even with rational counseling, a lot of hope, a lot of positive things happen with spiritual inputs.
No, there were no specific questions on physical disabilities as such, but I would like to take up something from the last question that somebody said about mental illnesses, you know, the social stigma associated with mental illnesses. And I absolutely agree with that particular issue, and I think that exists for physical disabilities too. I'm not sure if all of you know here, but as for world estimates, 7 to 8% of the world's population is disabled, whereas in India, 2.21% of the population is disabled. Not because India has less disabled people, but because disability is recorded less, because people do not want to declare family members who are disabled. And something interesting that I noticed when I went to all the 3 jails is that, when I asked jailers to introduce me to people who were disabled, they introduced me to people with locomotor disabilities because they are obviously disabled, because it's visible that they are disabled. They introduced me to people with visual challenges because it's visible that they are disabled. But people who are deaf, it's often said that it's a hidden disability, and perhaps even the jail authorities did not catch on if somebody was deaf because they did not introduce me to a single person who was deaf either. And I think that's shocking. I'm sure there might have been people who were deaf in the jails, but perhaps there's a social stigma where they don't want to even understand a person with disability unless it's completely visible that the person is disabled in that sense. And I'm talking about deafness here. I'm sure a lot of people with mental illnesses do face the same challenge where it's not even detected in jails and people are just punished in that sense without being understood fully. Thank you.
And with your extraordinary presentation on access and PR, you could think of a PIL for the whole country on how jail should be made accessible.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, for the whole country, you get an order and a time schedule to do the following things, and you could specify 15, 20 things that they ought to do, and give the government a year, 2 years to make the jail disabled.
That's something that we did. Thank you.
An extraordinary presentation. Sandeep, please.
So the first question about the doctor giving medicine and patients are in line. That is actually a opioid reward. Actually, this addicts of smack, brown sugar, heroin, they have been given this drug, which is in counting, monitoring by the AIMS and the United Nations. So it's a project by them. Its name itself is a OST. It's a opioid treatment supervised. So it has to be supervised by a doctor in charge. He is responsible directly to the United Nations and AIMS. So every tablet is counting, and it's a very costly tablet. So, and there is also a chance of breach. So we can chance both of that. Across the country where these centers are there, people who are really asking for a drug, they don't take drug. They just go in line, have it, and sell it outside on double price. So that is what is the reason that it has to be done that way. And to maintain a discipline, we have to be maintained. Second question is about the symptoms of depression. That's a long list, we all know. How do we feel when we are sad? So it's about, so by science, they say there must be 5 symptoms of depression, ranging from the sadness of mood, lack of interest, lethargy, crying spells, poor attention concentration, not able to sleep properly, not feel like to do anything, not feel like to eat anything. At times I feel that God should take me. I do not crying. I'm very, nothing holds in my life. Pessimistic view of future. So what we all at times get transiently in our life when we are in a bad phase of life. Life has given everybody's good and bad phases. So what we experience for a transient duration of about 1, 2, 3, 4 days, if it is lasting for 14 days, as per science, that will be called as depression. And that's a time when we should, identify the client. In fact, I would just share with you, when we were there, we organized the training for all levels, from wardens to head wardens to the assistant warden, then every person who is staff nurses, special psychiatric treatment. That is the time when we know this Nirbhaya Kant victim has committed suicide, Ram Singh. So after that, there is a huge talk about the mental health, and every warden, every jail has been sensitized, super sensitized, I would say, for the psychiatric illness. You ask the warden and head warden at that time, they know psychiatry better than anybody, doctor, I would say, because they have been trained so hardly and frequent questioning has been done to them. So that is so what all we feel in a bad phase of life, I would say, low mood, crying spell, life is not worth living, God please take me away. If it is lasting for 14 days, continuously, that will be a sign of depression. Then there is a question about the spiritual beliefs. Yes, spiritual beliefs do help. And just to share about, there are many spiritual groups working in the jail. Be it from Ashutosh Maharaj to many churches, many the Christian missionaries, they all organize the centers, dance, music, bhajans, pranayam shivas in the jail to keep people away. Regarding you told there is a very depressing atmosphere. So it appears so, but I would say there are many recreational activities.